Not much. Just sitting around, breathlessly awaiting the start of Two Guys Talking Toys, which starts now.
It sure does. And I'm super jazzed and super excited because yesterday was Godzilla Day.
It was Godzilla Day.
It was
I thought you'd be
Godzilla Day.
jazzed about that. Do you have a Godzilla shirt on? Yes, you do.
I do. I wore my other one yesterday at work. I informed my boss that it was Godzilla Day, and the only downside was when he said he didn't know that it was Godzilla Day.
I was going to say, he was like, I don't care.
I didn't have a shirt to also give him. He's like, oh, I could tell it's Godzilla Day because of the shirt you're wearing. And I was like, oh, how great would it be if I could be like, well, now you also have a shirt. Celebrate it together.
Join the club. Well, it was because I knew it was coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I had gone ahead and shipped. I had in my pile of loot the Super 7 Ultimate redo.
Oh, that's so nice.
Of the Shogun Warrior Godzilla from what was that, 79?
Yeah. Now I forgot, did they include the launching fist in their version?
Yeah, it shoots.
He does have the launching fist. That's so cool.
Here you go, fans. Boom. You just got punched out by Godzilla. And he's got the same fire.
Flicky tongue.
Well, it's supposed to be fire, but it looks more like a tongue.
Sure, why not?
The coolest thing about this release is they did one that
I remember seeing that advertised.
In the dark.
I may have to get that because I never had the Shogun. I never had the Shogun Godzilla, but that glow in the dark.
I could do the show with this.
I was gonna say it illuminates. It illuminates your face.
I'll just have him sit on my shoulder like a parrot.
Oh, that's so cool. And he's bigger than I thought he would be.
Yeah, he's good size. And I have the mini ones too. So now I have multiple sizes because I have the original, because I have them now all staring. I have like a choir of Godzilla behind me. But now I also have this little guy. He glows in the dark.
It's so weird that just his head and hands and feet glow. That's a weird decision to make. I mean, I like it because it's glow in the dark, but that's an odd direction to go in.
It's like a Godzilla mime.
So are those the things you got this week, or did you get new stuff this week?
No, the two Godzillas, the Ultimates were the ones that I got. These two. I got these this week because I was excited when I saw these because that original Shogun Godzilla is a prize in my possession. I love that thing, and it's the ultimate in nostalgia for me because I got that when I was a kid, and that was it. I was hooked to, and it was the most amazing thing. But before I get into that, like, what did you get?
So we are continuing our tried and true. What did I have shipped to my home?
Nice.
I think I know what this might be, or rather, I think I know what this is supposed to be.
Right. We never know these days, right?
Yeah. So there was a larger scale transformer that I had ordered off of my go-to. Wow. My go-to site. So this is how it arrived. I mean, it's a site that I'm sure handles returns and whatever. So this is Dirge from Transformers. So grand opening, grand unboxing. Let's see if everything's actually in there.
Well, he was already opened, apparently.
You never know. Or he was beat up or thrown around in the back or something. All right, so I got him. He is missing one missile. Well,
check in the bag because the box is open. Maybe it's still in the bag.
Yeah. No.
Well,
no such luck. I mean, this is kind of the same thing that happened.
We are having bad luck with our openings on camera these days, huh?
I mean, I guess on the one hand, I only paid like $18-20 for him. He goes for he's one of the higher end. I forgot what the retail is. It's almost 30 to get one of these now at this size, even though the Transformers have gradually begun to shrink at retail. But this is not bad. He's got all of his body parts, which is kind of what I'm most concerned about. It kind of stinks that he's only got one of his missiles or one of his side guns, but that's fine. as a quick follow-up, because I remember I was telling you about another one that I had ordered where I was a little disappointed by what I received, because I thought he was missing. Where did he go? I thought he was missing his jet canopy and his sword. Well, it turns out this was Dreadwing. So he actually did have his sword. The sword folds up and fits into his gun. So he does have his sword, but he is missing the jet canopy. But again, I got him for, I think, 25, and it's a figure that goes for 34, 35 now. No, wait, no, he's a leader. This goes for 40 something, maybe higher.
Right, well.
So, you know, these are things that I usually stick away in a baggie somewhere anyway. So that's not important. What is important is today's topic, and as you've probably guessed from my banter before the call and when we just started the show, today's topic is Godzilla. Because I'm super duper excited. It's Godzilla Day. Godzilla -1 is coming out.
I'm excited about that.
We went and saw Godzilla Millennium in the theater, which was such a great experience. Because
that was fun.
Especially for me, because I saw the I remember when it originally came out in Japan and heard about it and wanted it, and I imported it from like the bootleg VHS shop when I was still in Philly, and then I got to go see it in the theater.
Piracy is not a victimless crime, Tom.
I know all those people that the studios would like to make you think don't get paid when, you know, it's your fault. It's not their fault for being paid 400 times their salaries. But we won't get into the strike stuff. Right. But when Godzilla 2000 came out, I remember being. I mean, I still kind of am. I think a lot of us are, for people who are not involved in the things that we are interested in. You're that friend. So, like, I was the Godzilla friend. So when Godzilla 2000 came out, I had lots of people who, and people who like only kind of tangentially knew me, asking me to go and see Godzilla with them. It was almost like if I went and saw Godzilla with them, then it was okay for them to go and see Godzilla.
They can blame you. We're here because of this.
Yeah, they're like, Tom really wants to. I know he's so excited about it, and I went to every single one, and I enjoyed it every single time. And I was a gigantic goober in the theater. The first time he rises out of the theater, out of the water, I was like, woo! Yeah. And I gave permission to everyone else in the audience to enjoy themselves. Because I was always the first one to start yelling and be happy. The rest of the crowd would join in. And I was like, yes, we're at a Godzilla movie.
That's exactly what happens to me at Taylor Swift concerts.
See, it's weird that you would be the first one to applaud.
Yeah, all those little teenage girls, like I give them permission to act like a goober at the concert. That's what happens.
Now the question is, do you start cheering when she comes on, or is it when like they're setting up and the janitor's on screen and you're like, yeah, go Joe!
No, I start.
Go Joe Dirt!
I start cheering when she walks off the stage after the encore.
Then your voice just gets lost in the multitudes. Milli Vanilli could have used you. You could have helped him stay on stage.
Right. They should have signed me on.
Had they not run off the stage, everything would have been fine. But so let's talk about Godzilla, because this is the week for it. There's all kinds of great stuff going on. I am anxiously awaiting for tickets to go on sale for -1, because it comes out in theaters in the US in December. The Japanese have already got it, so now I have to do all kinds of Matrix dance moves to avoid spoilers online, because nobody can help themselves.
I feel like you should post a video of those dance moves.
You know what? I will post an approximation and reskin as many other famous actors.
All right.
So let's talk about, I guess, some of the earliest Godzilla toys, because as far as like official releases, I never had any.
No, so like the really old stuff, like the '66 Marusan, the tin stuff. Yeah,
the Aurora kits. I've seen pictures of them. I never owned them.
No,
They were not.
They're like, those are like, you need Indiana Jones to find those now and get them.
They were not in my family's financial wheelhouse.
No, not even back then, and even especially not now. But the people who have them now aren't selling them. Those, they're keeping those.
They are hard to come by. They are hard to afford. They are tough to get people to part with. I don't really blame them because it's and granted, there's so much Godzilla stuff. Like I think it's kind of funny if you listen to a lot of like hardcore collectors, it's impossible. Like they all kind of agree across the board. If you're collecting Godzilla stuff, you have to define what you want. Like, what do you want your collection to be? What lane are you staying in? Or are you just kind of just grabbing what looks cool? Because there's no way in the world you will ever collect all the Godzilla merchandise. It's legitimately impossible.
Think of all the companies that have done it. Like, you're better off trying to list the companies that haven't done it. Like,
one of the few properties that has more people making them than Ninja Turtles.
Kenner has never done Godzilla, as far as I know. But like Funko, Bandai, Mattel, Toonami. I mean, there's a ton of them. Like everybody's done.
Yeah, and that's not even that's not even counting like the current companies or like
Imperial, Jack Pacific. They've all done it.
You've got your Pop. You've got your NECA, your Haya, your Mondo. They've all done it. But I did not have the early like official release Godzilla stuff. My earliest Godzilla memories are of Imperial. Imperial were the guys.
Everybody's
that
first were Imperial.
Yep. So I want to introduce you to somebody. So one of the first, like from a young age, my I think everyone has a memory of, especially if you're a dude, and I'm sure there are plenty of girls, but lots of dudes remember like this Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon, sitting on the couch with your dad, watching those silly, cheesy sci-fi killer thriller, either the badly dubbed kung fu flicks or Godzilla movies. You'd
giant spiders or giant,
you'd watch like them or whatever, but there was always like some kind of Godzilla movie on. And I remember watching those with my dad and just being mesmerized by this giant unstoppable creature who looked cool. He was bigger than any known dinosaur. People ran in fear when they saw him, and he got to cause wanton destruction. And as a kid, that's what you want. You want all your toys to be Godzilla. It doesn't matter what it is. That thing, like those when we did the truck episode, my giant stupid trucks were my stand-ins for Godzilla because I didn't have a Godzilla toy. So when I was 7 years old, it was my birthday, and my mom.
Really, you had a birthday when you turned 7?
I know, it was a weird thing, and it was a big deal because I hadn't gotten eaten by, like, I had survived. I hadn't gotten eaten by a saber tooth. I had managed to successfully hunt and bring like hot dogs from the kitchen to the living room. It was a big occasion. So my mom had disappeared for like an hour or two, and we were poking around the house and doing birthday stuff, whatever, and she came back with like a big bag of stuff, and she sat it down in front of me, and she said, "Dig in." And I did, and I honestly couldn't remember. I couldn't tell you anything that was in that bag except for this guy. This is the Imperial version of Godzilla. This was like their generic giant lizard monster Godzilla creature. And
what is he wearing?
I have never ever. This guy has been he's been with me through everything.
That's
I've had
awesome.
him forever. Every place I have ever lived, he has been with me. Every place I've moved to, he's been to multiple states.
That's great.
This is my if there was a fire, like everyone has that question. If there was a fire in your apartment or in your house, what would you save? This is who I would save. I don't care. I don't care about anything else except him if I had to make that choice. So since I've had him since I was 7, he's gone through this thing that he's got wrapped around him, this sash. This was part of my college graduation thing.
Nice.
So he's held on to that. This was my ridiculous graduate tassel that I think made us wear for all the good that did me. But
you got
this guy
shift it over, so you're right.
Yeah, I got to move. That proves that I am a learned person. But this is the quintessential Godzilla figure for me. He doesn't have any back spikes. I didn't care. this was the guy who was going into battle with Metlar. Or, I'm sorry, I didn't have Metlar. With Decompose and Tendril. He's all used up. Both his pinkies are broken. I shaved out. He used to have like a fin. These would have a little like a prominent fin on the top of the heads. And it's one of my earliest customs because I shaved that down. I was like, Godzilla doesn't have that. He's got like bumpy smoothie things on the top.
Right.
And if I pop off his head because he's made out of slightly malleable plastic, he still smells like new plastic on the inside. So if you ever need like a quick hit,
need your fix. Yeah.
You ever need a quick hit, you just. But
awesome.
this was Imperial, and they were responsible for a lot of my early Godzilla toys because I had him, and then later on there was a weird variation of Gigan that they did where he didn't have the hook claws, but he had the two little finger claws. Yeah. There was like a smaller. They came in multiple colors, but there was also like a smaller version of Godzilla that actually had back spikes. I remember having him.
We used to find them all the time at the flea market, which is now a Target on Sunrise Highway, but it was a flea market back in the day for those who don't know or live in the area. And they had just treasure trove of Imperial dinosaurs and Godzillas and the like.
Would you say it was just like a mini mall?
Sure.
Oh, have you not heard It's Just Like a Mini Mall joke or a song, the flea market song? Oh, no. All right.
The one from about a decade ago. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, just checking. I was gonna say I gotta send this to you. How long have we been friends? I feel like I've neglected my duties. But Imperial eventually wound up making a Godzilla that actually like kind of looked like Godzilla. Where it had the back spikes, it was almost neon green, and it had that hilarious, like, drunken old person lipstick around the mouth.
Yeah, a lot of the Imperial did, and it was like right.
Yeah, there. It was right on the gum line. It was rough. It was rough to look at. I was like, "Who did this to you, Godzilla? Did you get drunk?"
It's like that old person driving around in their old Crown Vic trying to put the.
But these were like my earliest Godzilla style figures. So what were you had the Shogun,
right? I had the Shogun.
See, I kind of wish that was the size that Super 7 would go for.
Well, Toynami just released one.
Did they? Same scale?
This scale is a darker green, and it's like $250. They actually have one at Retro Relics. Shameless plug.
Oh, you know what? That's not terrible.
No,
it's not terrible.
He still has his fire. You know what's funny about this one? This was complete and mint with the handle in the back because it had the handle like this mini one, right? It had that handle. And,
stay away from me and my son.
Yeah, and Jared came over. First time he was introduced to this Shogun, and I said, "Be careful not to break the clank."
Oh, it's right off.
Right off. Because that's always, you never see these with the
handle's always gone.
With the handle in the back like this.
Because someone's kid always comes over and snaps it right off.
I had him with the handle for decades.
Do you remind him constantly that that's how you know you love him? That you didn't eat him immediately after doing that?
I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be rough. This poor kid. But yeah, and he's his fist still shoots. I'm not gonna shoot this one at the screen because
let him have it.
But now I've got him in this size, in this size.
That is great.
And this size. And I have duplicates that glow in the dark. So that was my first one. And then that collection in 79 also did Rodan.
I remember.
It's an amazing figure, and we had it, and I no longer have it.
Oh, no. What happened to him?
I lost in the oblivion it is. But he had he had a thing on the back that would close his talons. So you could fly him around and grab G.I. Joe guys up and do whatever you wanted to do. It's fantastic. And I'm looking for him like I want it so badly, but finding him at a good price.
Oh, that is not going to happen.
Difficult. Yeah. So we had Rodan and the Godzilla, And then so that was the Shogun line.
Mm-hmm.
So my younger brother, so it was Derek had Rodan, I had Godzilla, and my younger brother had the big 19-inch Mazinga Z Shogun with the rocket launches coming out of the thing.
Yeah.
And so we had good battles with those three. And then we had the Terror with the 6-legged thing that
that's really cool.
Had.
That is a perfect Godzilla villain.
Yeah, that's who sits next to this Godzilla on the shelf. And then we had Grigori the Bat that I talked about during our
right.
Story. So
that's another really cool looking or great stand-in for a Godzilla monster.
And we had those 5 critters, and then we had some Imperial stuff, and that was when we really started getting into the big kaiju type monsters and the mech, the Mazinger, and then eventually those got replaced with Netlar and those kind of things.
So it's funny you bring up Rodan and having him. I never had any. Well, when I was younger, I did not have Rodan figures, mostly because Imperial didn't make any. But later on, when Trendmasters got the license and they started making Godzilla figures, I was whole hog into those because they had the different scales. So I had a bunch of those. You remember like they had the smaller ones where there was the green Godzilla. And then there were the proper colors, the black version that was considered "quote unquote" supercharged.
Right.
I always thought it was kind of funny. One of my biggest gripes, especially when I was younger, were all the depictions of Godzilla as a giant green lizard. And from the time that I kind of like got this onward and was so like I loved the movie so much, it always bugged me that people would say he was green. I'm like, he's clearly not. He's clearly charcoal. He's black. Just let him have that, including the Hanna-Barbera cartoon. That used to bug me. Aside from all of the random.
That cartoon was pretty cool. That cartoon was pretty cool.
I only vaguely remember it. I everyone knows the intro. I kind of wish they would make a figure of that. There's a statue. There's a very expensive statue that exists, but there is no like official figure. Now that I'm older and it's in the rear view and I know there's other things, I can appreciate it more. But at the time I was like, this is silly. But
I'm a big fan of everything Hanna-Barbera, so I love that cartoon.
So when Trendmasters popped up and they had the Godzilla license, I remember getting those kind of larger scale figures that had the motion detecting sounds and lights.
Yes.
Those were great, and I remember they were interesting to me because they had kind of a weird new take on some of the monsters. Like Gigan looked much more like a professional wrestler. He had like a much more swollen, kind of bubbly look to him as opposed to the more sleek insectile look that I was used to.
Yeah.
They gave Biollante legs. I'm not quite sure why, but sure, why not? I guess they figured having a platform would be a little weird, but
right. Well, in that time, the world of prosthetics was a giant leap forward.
Yeah, they made a lot of changes. But I remember getting a lot of the Trendmaster figures, and then they moved on to like a weird. Oh, I forgot the name of the subline, but there was a lot of armor. They came with like weird armor sets, and you could lock on to Godzilla.
I forgot about those.
Yeah, and that was where my first Rodan figure came from because he had the movable wings, but he also had like random armor. And I love that and we've been seeing them in Target, the Godzilla Kong figures that have the weird flip out armor that look like they're a throwback to there was a line that was proposed by Trendmasters, but it was never things were prototyped, but they were never released, called Doom Island. And they were supposed to have like mutating Godzilla that like parts of them flipped out and had extra spikes and whatever, versus Destroya, who also was going to have weird
spikes,
flip out bits. They were going to do one for Kumanga or Spitus. Who else was supposed to be in that line?
Wasn't there a line called Godzilla's Gang? Like,
not that I'm aware of.
There
might be, and I just never heard
78. Like I remember like there being like I thought it odd that they called it wasn't like they had a pompadaur. And
I would love to. I would love. It actually sounds like something they would do on like the Godzilla Island series. Where one come in with the weird cowlick and have a leather jacket that pops the collar on,
like West Side Story.
There's got to be some Ultraman villains that look kind of like that. And if you look at the reuse of one of the Godzilla suits into Jiris, he's got a giant frill that could count as a collar. Why not?
Why not? I had a bendy Godzilla in the 90s that came out, and I stood him next to my and it was cool. They did a whole line, and he was a cool Godzilla, like it was the original look.
Yeah.
And but I stood them next to my Stariors. It was like,
oh yeah,
it was Pacific Rim before Pacific Rim existed. Yeah, because I was thinking about the good old days with Godzilla and the Shogun warriors.
So let's enter for just a few minutes real dark time in Godzilla's Godzilla's timeline.
No!
The year was 1998. Toho made a very big mistake. They were having some real FOMO about having a movie out in the West, and there were some up and coming filmmakers who decided that blowing up the White House was a cool thing to do, and Aliens and Will Smith, and they came to an agreement, despite the fact that John Dubont had a fantastic Godzilla script and a really cool looking Godzilla design that had been made by who's it? Stan Winston, a fantastic Griffon design. Let's throw all that in the trash and instead go with these guys who clearly wanted to make a Jurassic Park movie, and Steven Spielberg, rightfully so, said, "Get out of my face." And they said, "Well, we're going to make one anyway, except we're going to take Toho's pride and joy and turn it
into with a stick."
Yeah. So let's talk about Godzilla 1990.
If we have to. Here's the sad thing about Godzilla 1990. So we got the announcement that there was a Godzilla movie coming out, right? And then it happened.
I love that it's described like an assault.
Right.
I was walking down the alley with my parents. We had just gotten done seeing Godzilla 2000, and we decided to make a detour down Crime Alley, and then Godzilla 98 happened.
Yeah, here's what really upset me. It wasn't what happened to me when that movie came out.
It's really all the people around us that have been affected.
It did damage to the next generation because they didn't want to watch the old black and white stuff. So when I went on about how cool Godzilla is years after that movie came out, what did Jared do? He went and found the newest Godzilla movie because he didn't want the old crap. And then he came up and he's like, "I watched Godzilla. It was awesome." And I was like, "Which one?" And he was like, "It's Godzilla." You know, because he was very young. And I was like, "No, man." And he's like, "It's awesome." And I was like, No. First you broke my Shogun Godzilla, and now you're telling me that movie was awesome? Kid,
broke my heart.
That's a one-way ticket to being an orphan.
First he broke your Shogun, then he broke your heart.
Yes. But then I showed him actual Godzillas, and then when he got a little older, he could appreciate them. But
I had a similar experience with a coworker where him growing up, he had only experienced the 98 Godzilla and legitimately thought it was a quote unquote fun movie. And I treated him accordingly. And then he went and watched some of the actual Godzilla movies and was like, wow.
I feel as though if I had been approached by a grown-up like you were, who said that movie was awesome, something tragic, probably violent, would have ensued.
I spent a lot of time arguing with people I shouldn't have been arguing about this movie. But the toy line for that, Trendmasters did what Trendmasters do. They cranked out tons of stuff. The only thing that I have is the large scale version of that.
Yeah, which was pretty cool as a figure.
Now, with the years that have gone by, I can now look back on that and say, knowing what has come after it, and knowing that without that happening, we would not have gotten things like, right after the producer of the original Godzilla saw this in theaters, and they asked him, "What did you think of Godzilla 98?" His immediate reply was Godzilla 2000, and they yanked the rights back and they made Godzilla 2000, and they went from there. And without them, because they hadn't planned on making more Godzilla movies, they were going to leave it to the U.S. to make a few movies, maybe for like 10 years, and then they were going to kick it off, back in Japan again. But it was like desperate times called for desperate measures, so they made all of these, and I'm really glad that this worked out the way that it did. Like looking back on it now, hindsight being 2020, because I love the Millennium design. The figures for that were phenomenal. When Bandai started cranking out, and what after Trendmasters, when I got to college and started being able to like kind of branch out more and having more access to different kinds of toys, seeing the Bandai figures was like a whole new world. Theater exclusives, which I wish we had here. I so wish that movies would have theater exclusive figures that look super cool.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, like you would get. I remember getting the original Godzilla Millennium design, and then the theater exclusive was this cool, like clear with sparkles mixed into the plastic. And there's always some really neat theater exclusive that pops up. So once I got to college and could look around and find more stuff, like all the Bandai offerings blew my mind, including there is I believe a 1994 Bandai, I think it's called the Super Premium exclusive, or I think it's like super
Premium.
Exclusive. And he's 2 feet tall, 4 feet long.
Oh yeah.
He's massive, and I love him. He's great. One of the things that had me like, I had gotten there was an exclusive version of this same figure because they had released the super version, and that was the normal Godzilla colors. And then to commemorate his death in '96 after Destroya, there was a clearish orange and red and yellow version of it. And I saved up my shekels and I got that. And when he arrived, I was done collecting. It was a weird feeling. Like I got it.
Remember you telling me that? Like you had the pinnacle.
Yeah, that like if we have to do an episode about Holy Grails, because that was it. And I had acquired him. And then I was done. Like I stopped collecting. Like I remember being in stores and looking around and be like, that's nice. I got Super Burning Premium at home though. So whatevs. I sadly wound up having to sell him because things were expensive and I was moving and I needed like a deposit for like a new apartment, whatever. So he wound up being sold. But man, that thing was amazing. Everything that is spot on. I'm always impressed by how spot on a lot of the Bandai figures are to Godzilla, to his look in the movies.
Yeah, and the new movie gave us a lot of good things, a lot of good figures from Bandai and others.
The GMK series, which is one of my favorite Godzilla movies, when he goes back to being full evil. He's got the pupilless eyeballs, and he's just awesome and annihilates everyone else in the film. All the figures from that movie, and I don't even know why I'm specifying that particular movie. All the Bandai figures from kind of all
they're all great.
Are really well done. I kind of wish the Bandai US series was a little bit better, but you know, I will take what I can get. But we also have currently companies like NECA. The Godzilla NECA stuff has been
fantastic,
really good. Like I think they took a little while to get their footing because some of their stuff suffers from a lot of their standard QC issues, but the sculpting itself is really good. My preferences will always be to SH Monster Arts, but they are very expensive. The ones that I have behind me, I lucked out and managed to get those like on a sale, but they're fantastic. So real quick, let's talk about how Godzilla influences other franchises, because you can see Trypticon behind me, and that was one of my favorite kind of like Godzilla.
That's obviously a Mecha Godzilla.
Oh yeah, absolutely. When he first appeared in Transformers, I didn't have him as a kid, but I always wanted him.
We had Trypticon as a kid. He wasn't that big, you know. But we had Trypticon as a kid, and he was basically Godzilla. He just stomped around that way.
I loved it. I loved it, and I kind of like that his counterpart was, I guess, not really Mecha Godzilla per se, but Metroplex was their giant equivalent of like their Mazinga, their giant robo to kind of fend them off. Same thing with and I brought him up before, Peludo from Toxic Crusaders. He's always been really cool. Circling back to Transformers, there was a line called Superlink or Energon here, where one of the villains in it was a little tiny, just kind of like a foot soldier, troop builder character named Krulok, who kind of resembled the '98 Godzilla design, like in the head area. Like he had that like kind of butt chin and he was a little bit crowd. Yeah, so it was kind of neat. Like, and again, this is after this has all happened, and I got to actually enjoy, all the stuff that came afterwards. Like that being referenced was kind of cool.
Yeah. I enjoy also, Bandai doing the new Godzilla movies where gave us, you can say what you will about the movies, but the toys that came out were pretty good. They were some pretty good ones.
Define new.
This guy.
Oh, the legendary ones. Yes. The legendary toys have been really good.
This is like a toddler. You can just sit on my lap.
Yeah, see, I that's the one that I have. I haven't gotten into the other ones because I don't care much for the for like the fire breathing action.
I like that you can be a happy toddler on my lap.
He's so happy. Do you remember for about it seemed like 5 minutes, they re-released that figure in a slightly more bluish color scheme when King of the Monsters came out. And I always meant to get him, and then he disappeared, and he never came back. And now
I never saw him. He vanished. He's expensive now.
You know what else?
You can still get this one. I have little ones.
You should tie him into your beard. Let your beard grow long. You tie him in there.
Just sitting there like that.
I'm hanging there. That would be great.
No one would find that odd at all.
How do you like some of the? Have you seen any of the offerings from Mondo?
No, I haven't seen them.
Oh, they do. They like to throw back to some of the more specialized vinyl figures that are a little bit more squat. Like they're large in scale, but like the proportions are a little bit more squat. But there was an offering that happened. I want to say maybe a year ago. What was it called? I'm sorry. I had to write this down because I had so much random Godzilla info.
Wow, you had notes. Wow. We're professional now.
There's so much. It was called the Urban Aztec Design, and it is a really cool stylized version of Godzilla.
That's right. You told me about that.
Yeah, the covering on like all the surface detail are these really cool interlocking Mayan designs. There was awesome. Yeah, there was like a red and yellow one. I'll send you pictures of it, and I will link to it in the show notes.
$500?
I think the original one went for $250, and they recently released another one that's in a blue color scheme that I believe is going for $200, maybe also $250. If it was in the budget, I would get it. If it glowed in the dark, I'd be in trouble because I wouldn't care about the budget. But so we're gonna have to continue this. Maybe not in the next episode, but we will absolutely circle back to this because we are running out of time.
And there's so much Godzilla stuff.
There's so much Godzilla stuff. Listeners, subscribers, thank you for joining us on another episode of Two Guys Talking Toys. Let us know what your favorite Godzilla monster is. Let us know what your favorite Godzilla toy line is. If you enjoyed the episode, like and subscribe. If you are listening to us in an audio format, give us a like. Leave us a few stars. It always helps to get the podcast out there. Leaving us a like and subscribe on YouTube also helps get the show out there. Hope you have enjoyed, and get a hold of us on our Twitter. It is Two Guys Talking Toys. That is the number 2. No G after the talking. Same thing for Gmail. Two Guys Talking Toys. The number 2. No G after the talking. Thank you again for joining us. Take care, everybody.